Meet Gerry Forbes and Tony Spoletini. Gerry was the host of CJAY92's Forbes and Friends morning show for 25 years. He is known in our community for his philanthropic work in support of local charities, most notably the Kids Fund Ambassador for Gerry Forbes' Secret Wish. Over the years, Gerry partnered with local businesses such as Nick's Restaurant, Spolumbo's Fine Foods in Deli, and WestJet, where they collaborated to raise millions of dollars to help Calgarians in need. In 2019, at the Canadian Music and Broadcast Industry Awards, Gerry was inducted into the Canadian Broadcast Industry Hall of Fame. Tony Spoletini is the owner of Spolumbo's Fine Foods in Deli. Spolumbo's is a name that is recognized by many Calgarians, not only for their fine products, but also for their ongoing charitable support of diverse organizations such as church groups, sports, and the fine arts community. Tony is a two-time Vanier Cup winner with the UFC's Calgary Dinos. He was also a part of the Grey Cup winning Edmonton Eskimos in 1987. In 1989, he signed as a free agent with the Calgary Stampeders. In 2013, Tony was awarded the Sportsman of the Year award at the Calgary Booster Club. And lastly, he won the CFL's Alumni Association Man of the Year award in 2019. We're in the presence of two local legends here in Calgary. We're here with Gerry Forbes.
Hashtag idiot, yes.
And Tony
Yes.
Spoletini.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome to Culture Roulette.
Well, thank you for having us on.
So Gerry, your dream of getting into the broadcast and radio started at the age of 12.
It did.
You know, there
Oh,
you are with the
There's a
Forbes
picture
family,
right there.
What can you
I
tell
don't
us
know if
about
you
that
guys
moment?
can see that or not, but that was when one of our last days in Edmonton. My mom got divorced and she took these three knuckleheads and moved to Ontario. And,
Noreen looked great always.
She did,
yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that was the start, and then I'd go out and visit my dad, who used to run 630 Chet in Edmonton.
That's right.
He was the vice president. And I was enamored by the disc jockeys, and I thought, this is a job, playing music, trying to tell jokes, having fun. And I thought, you know what, at the age of 12, I knew I wanted to do that. So I went home and I got 2 cassette players, and I got 2 turntables, and I practiced and practiced and practiced, and sent the tapes to my dad to have him critique them for me, and he'd send them back and he'd give me tips on how to improve. And so I never went to college. I had a scholarship from the U of T, and in Toronto, but I didn't use that. I learned enough right there that my father had taught me to apply for a job. So I applied for a job and got into the broadcast industry by sitting in my basement just practicing. It was very unusual.
So Murray McIntyre Forbes, your father, right? Gerry with a J Forbes.
Gerry with the J, and his real name was Murray McIntyre. Everybody called him Gerry. He was a remarkable man who started Santa's Anonymous across Alberta, which is spread across Canada. So he made sure that every kid that was, down and out or living in squalor, or their parents are just going through a tough time, he managed to take his money to start this and buy every kid a gift. And we would have all the people from the radio station at Ched deliver the gifts, show up on Christmas Eve or the day before, bring a big bag to the mom, and we'd let them know to have the kids there, and Santa Claus is going to show up. And then he started that. It's turned into a massive, massive deal now, especially in Edmonton. They've named a center after him where all the charities in northern Alberta can get together under one roof and be able to help each other. The Kidney Foundation can help Santa's Anonymous, who can help the Heart Foundation, who can help all this sort of stuff. And everybody's under one roof, and it has his name on the door. I'm very proud of that.
It's unreal, like Gerry Forbes Community Center. Then you follow his steps, and then you got Gerry Forbes' Secret Wish at CJAY92.
We started that with Tony. So that was just an amazing thing, because I did a pretty irreverent radio show. we thought we better do something to temper that, and we started doing it at Christmas. And then I thought, you know what, why don't we just take this? We're doing okay. I know I've got a lot of connections like Tony where we can raise more money. So I got together with Tony and Stu Myers, and we figured out a way to do this year round. So rather than just do it at Christmas like everybody does, everybody's heart fills with joy at Christmas and they help people. We decided we would do that and do it 12 months straight. So Tony came on as a partner. He says, Gerry, whatever you need, whatever you want for fundraising or helping families and stuff, that's when I brought Tony on board. And the thing absolutely killed it. We've raised over $3.5 million to help families. We bought school buses for special needs kids. We've built playgrounds. We paid for heart operations that the AHS couldn't. We've sent families where they've gone through a terrible situation and the father has died in a car accident. We put them on planes and sent them to Disneyland, all that kind of stuff, all locally based, and all because of guys like Tony, who have a business and decided to give back, rather than just take. And Tony and Mike and Tom here at Spolumbos have been absolutely unbelievable in helping everybody in Calgary.
How did it feel to be a part of this, Tony?
Gerry always did things so very humbly. Like, we had so much fun, like Gerry said, pushing the parameters on the show and what have you. But when it came to charity, Gerry did it the right way, right? There's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. And he did it always sincerely. I mean, yeah, it was live when his people would show up at the door and the family would just be shocked because a family member would call in to Gerry and say, listen, my sister's going through a tough time, this and this happened. And then Gerry would put together a package, get a whole bunch of businesses that he knew, and they'd get some money together, some needs for the kids, whatever that family needed. And then his people would show up at the door and the family would just be floored. And then that's where it would end. It wasn't a big, hoopla. It was just done very humbly, very subtle, with respect, and that's what made it even more special, because it was done for the right reasons and for people who really needed it. So to be part of something like that is what you want to be part of, right? You don't want to be part of a circus or anything. You want to be part of something that's real. And Gerry always did stuff that was real and from the heart.
How does Nick and Mark Petros fit into?
Well, Tony, I'll let you start with your story with these two.
From Nick's restaurant.
So the boys, I had the pleasure, I was a rookie, 17 years old on the Dinos in '83, and Tim had just come back from the Stampeder camp. He had been drafted after the '84 season, came back for his 5th year in Canada, and so he was my veteran tailback, and Timmy was so kind to me. So while we were in university, and my cousin Tom, who was my partner, had played with Tim 2 years prior, we just always go to Nick's, after games, after anything, and got to know Nick and Joan and Mark and the whole family, and we just all became very, very close. And so when we first started our sausage, Nick and Mark and Tim, being the kind of guys that they are, were one of the first people to give us a shot, right? And wow. And again, these guys are all about family. These guys are all about
great story, Tony.
Too.
A lot of people know the story about Nick. So all these guys, Nick, and there was a bunch of other older Greek guys, they all worked at High Steakhouse. They all worked as waiters.
Oh.
And then they thought, you know what? This place is making some pretty big dough. We'd like to do our own thing. So Nick saw JB's Big Boys, who's in trouble on McLeod Trail, which is now Nick's. And he went in.
Crowchild,
Crowchild. And he went in.
That was from Austin Powers. That was a big boy.
Yeah, the guy with the big hamburger.
Yeah.
So he went in there and he made them an offer, but he didn't have enough money. So, like Tony did, they went to their friends, friends in the community.
Wow.
And Jack Singer, a very famous guy in Calgary, he and his wife used to go to Highs all the time. And Nick would always look after them when they went there. So they had so much respect to Nick as a person that he lent Nick interest-free the rest of the money to buy Nick's. Nick paid him back. I mean, this was Jack Singer, like you can't find a bigger name.
They made a concert hall after him,
well,
right?
No, exactly.
And I met Nick through Tony, and then they saw what Tony and I were doing with Secret Wish, And Mark, who's Nick's son, said, how do I help you guys? And I go like, you know, Tone's been great. And he says, no, I want to help. Nick wants to help. And I go, well, I hate asking my friends for money, right? I hate asking my friends for favors. And Tony and I have known each other for so long that it was just something that worked out, you know, because I knew Tony had a big heart and I could help his business. And so he just goes, how about this? And he gives me $5,000. And he goes, if you need more, just ask. And
these guys are amazing.
These are in gift certificates. And if the bill goes over what it is, we'll cover it. So it would be more like $7,000 a year to take families that have been through trauma, fires, murder,
cancer, you name it, you know,
anything,
like just,
you name it, when they're at their most vulnerable and they have to spend bills to have funerals done and treatment done. These people stepped up and said, just send them in here and we'll look after them.
Wow. Again, they're just cutting edge, always so kind, always pro-community. They're always, you know, the Stamps ate there, Dinos ate there, all the high school, all the visiting teams. I mean, Nick just is connected to community, sports, you name it. Just a wonderful, wonderful family, and always have their friends' backs.
So on the topic of people that have helped you out, Gerry, what can you tell us about Gary Slate?
Oh, this man's remarkable. This guy, believe it or not, we grew up because my dad worked with his dad. And I used to try and hit him over the head with wood and stuff when he was a kid in the pool. And Gary went on to become a radio station media magnate. They were the biggest in Canada. They owned Standard Broadcasting. And Gary was a huge supporter of anything I did, and he would help me out with that. And I said, you know, I'm going to start this foundation. And he goes, great. They gave more money to United Way, I think, than any other company in Canada. They give millions of dollars to children's hospitals across the country. They have the biggest philanthropic group to help anybody who's becoming a musician. Just an incredible family, Alan and Gary Slate, unbelievable. And everything I've done here in Calgary, this man's back me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And on the same topic for you,
yes.
So you're 17 years old, you win West Canada Rookie of the Year in football, Vanier Cup winner twice over. Would any of that been possible without this man, Gary the man?
Now I'm gonna, no, I mean, Coach the man taught us, you know, respect, and taught us humility, and, you know, there was no names on the back of the jerseys. You had to keep your helmet on, and, you know, coming from an Italian family or a European family, being first generation, it was about, you know, hard work and respect and respecting, you know. When you got in trouble you went to parent-teacher interviews, you didn't want your teacher to tell you that you did something wrong, because, you know, our parents would just say, and again, this isn't child abuse, they'd say, you can smack him if you want, you know what I mean? Just give him I give you permission, that you're like me because I'm at work, and if he does. And so what Gary did is Gary really, St. Francis was the only Catholic school in the north, so we pretty well had all, and there was a lot of big Italian population in the northeast and northwest, so there was a lot of Italians on the Browns, and Gary knew our culture and knew the background of our parents being first generation, hardworking, respect, and he was amazing. He taught us humility, he taught us respect, and you would just run through a wall for this guy. And if you see the amount of players that went on and played university football and even CFL from St. Francis, it's amazing. It's all because of him.
So from St. Francis to this day, Vanier Cup 1983.
Mike Shiroska doing the
right? The dance,
the
right?
dance, right?
Remember that?
Yeah. So the story behind that is we're playing Saskatchewan in the regular season, and we're down at half by about 3 touchdowns. Second half, Greg Vavra goes off and and throws for over 600 yards. So on one of the last touchdowns, Mike does the dance in the end zone. We get back in. Coach Pete, another legend, the guy that I owe a lot to, Pete Cannellan. He goes to Mike, he goes, hey guys, we came back, it was a good win, but he goes to Mike, if I ever see you dance like that again, you're gonna you're gonna you're gonna sit. You're not gonna play. So Mike was hilarious. He's a card. He looks at Pete. He goes, well, what if I score the winning touchdown in the Vanier Cup? No word of a lie.
Wow.
Pete goes, if you score the winning touchdown in the Vanier Cup, you can do the dance. Seriously, Jared.
Wow.
What does he do? He scores the winning touchdown in the Vanier Cup, and he gets to do the dance. So you can't even write. You can't write this stuff. You know what I mean? So people don't know that you can't write that stuff. You know, and.
The team's going nuts.
Yeah, no,
right?
going nuts. They had a whole circle. The guys are all clapping, and Mike's doing that. But because we just now, if that would have happened in any other game, he wouldn't have saw the field, right? And that's the kind of guys that I had as role models. My dad, is my hero, right? Hardworking man, did everything for us. Coach DeMann, the same, and then Coach Pete. So to have those three men in my life and not mess up. I mean, to mess up with those three influences, man, you get it. You deserve a little, those men were amazing.
So here we are. We're actually sitting under Walter Payton's signed jersey. You're a huge Chicago Bears fan.
Very, very, very big.
What can you tell us? This is a gift for you.
Oh wow, my God!
This is a gift for you, Walter Payton.
So, when I was a kid, I watched Brian's Song with James Caan and Billy D. Williams. They played Brian Piccolo and it was a hard throw. Remember, Jared, right? And so that story. So after watching that, I became a big Bears fan because of Brian Piccolo and Gale Sayers. And then as I got into high school and started playing football, I loved Walter Payton, because Walter Payton stood for a lot of the values that Coach DeMann instilled in us, where team is first. The guy always worked his butt off running those hills, and he was always about, family and everything, right? So, and then you'll see it in the Super Bowl when New England geared up to stop Walter Payton. They opened up the pass, so the Bears killed them in the pass. And Walter Payton didn't even score a touchdown in that game. I mean, they gave the ball to the fridge, and we had Mike Ditka here for a dinner once, and we asked him about that, and he said if he had to ever do that again, he would have given Walter Payton, because he deserved a touchdown. But Walter Payton, you never heard him complain. Wow. He did what it took, because New England Patriot gave them the pass, and being the premier runner, team came before, and that's why I always loved him, is because he always put the team before himself, And
how was it like to have Coach here?
So
how was that?
It was crazy. So like Gerry said, when Gerry has always been a big contributor to the Italian Sportsman Dinner, the Dino Dinner. These are big sportsman dinners that give out scholarships, and the Italian Sportsman Dinner has been going since 1962. Wow. Joe Ferzani was one of the first winners, right? So Frank and I, my buddy Frank, we ended up getting Mike Ditka to come and speak at the dinner. So Coach Ditka came down here, he had some sausage, we got to drink some wine with him. The guy this is like 20 plus years ago. He was out of this world, and straight shooter. Just, hey, if you busted your butt, if you worked hard, man, you played. But if you didn't, he didn't sugarcoat it, man. He called you out. He just called you out. So it was pretty cool.
When you were in Chicago, when you went to Soldier last time, have you ever had food at Ditka's restaurant?
Oh yeah, that's one of our. Hey, Jerry. One of our must-do.
Gerry, the Chicago Blackhawks. This is a book for you, a gift for you. Your love for the Chicago Blackhawks. How did that start?
Started with Glenn Hall.
Yeah.
Glenn Hall, Hall. Bobby Hall. Back in the day, Stan Mikita, Bill White. I love the hockey team. And I love this too, the logo, the emblem, right? I think that's the best in hockey. But I became a Chicago fan, and every time we played road hockey, I would be the Chicago Blackhawks, right? And it started back then, and I followed the team through the ups and downs. Then we had 5 really good years.
Yeah.
And now I think we're going to have 5 really good years coming again, because we've done a lot of trades and stuff. And we went through, we took it for a couple of years, but things have changed around now. And that picture is a classic. Wayne's World, done on a Chicago Blackhawks sweater. I think those would be collector's items. I hung on to that one, but I thought that was the absolute coolest thing. But yeah, big year for Chicago, and I think this year we're going to be okay.
I brought a gift in commemoration of that picture for you, Gerry.
Man, you guys
You're nice with the gifts,
he's
eh?
taking over the Santa Claus.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's wild. That's
Wayne's World with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, that's
swag.
fabulous.
You guys, this is guys. This is wild.
That's going to go in the old awards room. That's fantastic.
And have you ever met Jonathan Toews?
No, I haven't.
Because I know you love him.
He just went through a tough time. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with him, eh?
Yeah.
And it turns out it was an autoimmune disease. And he's going to be back next year, but he just had absolutely no energy. And he still got out there and tried to play, but the doctor said, you can't. So they think they figured it out. I mean, obviously one of the greatest all-time Chicago Blackhawks, if not the best, right? And has been through a year of hell. Had to sit out and watch his teammates, and this year he should be back. I think we're going to have a fantastic team.
Well, I have a gift for you, actually. This QR code is actually a link to Jonathan Toews' personal Spotify playlist.
Oh, awesome.
If you put your phone on there
that'll come up?
that is, you'll have access. And what I noticed is on that playlist, he has one of your songs that you listen to as well from this album, Island in the Sun by Weezer.
Yeah.
So that's another gift for you in case you need a copy of it.
That's wild.
Boy,
Right?
you're nicer than we are.
And also, I brought these other parting gifts for you: the Wayne's World soundtrack,
Oh, excellent.
and also Wayne's World, some of the songs, the Basement tape
That's the
mixtape.
history of my life right there. Yeah.
That's right.
I played every single one of those bands, right, when I was on the radio here. So
There's some good ones on there.
That's
the underrated
fantastic.
track is the Chili Peppers track on the Wayne's World soundtrack. That one just bangs.
awesome. I will check it out.
Tony, do you remember where you were May 12th, 2017? Just unwrap that thing.
It was. We were in Vancouver, and it was the kickoff concert for U2, and it was Frank's 60th. Frank was going to be 60 on the 21st.
Wow.
Remember? So he had taken me on my birthday for the year of my birthday. I'm in October. When I turned 50, we went to see U2 in Phoenix. But it was in May also, but it was that same year. So when they opened the tour in Vancouver, I ended up saying, Frankie, let's go, and so it was incredible.
Yeah.
And
I saw them 8 days later in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl in front of 123,000 people.
And this was the peak for that
oh
band.
yeah, that was
They
this
were
was.
unbelievable.
It was. That's wild.
I also got it for you in cassette
Oh my gosh, brother.
format, and I also got it for you in
Oh my God.
Rattle and Hum, which has
wow.
Bullet the Blue Sky. This live version is
God.
incredible.
Yeah,
This is
well done.
this is awesome, buddy. Thank you so much. This is your life.
I
eh,
know,
Gerry? It's
eh? Yeah.
This is
I'm waiting for the hearse to come
this
up.
is this is a game show where you win.
That's
all
right.
the time.
That's right. That's right. In 2019, Gerry, you were inducted into the Hall of Fame of the Canadian
Yeah, that was a
broadcasting
pretty cool
industry.
time. Yeah.
And here you are that night.
Awesome.
What was going through your mind? You got 43 years maybe flashing through your eyes. Like, how do you feel when you get inducted to the Hall of Fame after 43 years?
It was all worth it. That's what I thought. Because it wasn't easy, and to have her beside me,
Hey.
pretty cool.
Well deserved, Bello.
Yeah.
You deserved it, and she's amazing. One of the best.
Yeah, brother.
It's an honor, Gerry. Well deserved,
Yeah,
Bello.
thank you.
Well, it's our pleasure, Gerry. It's our pleasure. When I was in the research, I noticed an interesting number, and I want you to tell me what this potentially means to you. What do you think the number 34 and 43 has from a significance perspective in your life?
He knows I failed math. I honestly don't know.
So, your dad was in the industry for 34 years,
Yeah.
and you flipped the number to 43.
Wow.
And and then I'm like thinking to myself, what does that mean in numerology?
Yeah.
You know what that means? Angel number 3443 is the empowering social agent in the community.
There you go. That's cool.
that, eh?
Rise against illiteracy successfully. So that's what it means.
Unbelievable.
And that's what you and your dad did.
Yeah,
is
that's
that.
crazy. Wow.
So even in a numbers perspective, you guys did exactly what you were supposed to
Put
do.
here to do. And so did you. Boy, did you do your homework. That was amazing.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is wild, honestly. Wow.
You know, we've been lucky for 2 schmucks. We really have.
Just had a lot of fun, and you know, along the way, we were able to give back, and you know, growing up in this city, and Gerry will attest to it. Corporate Calgary has always been very, very generous. The people in Alberta have been very, very generous, and you see that growing up. And I remember playing on teams and at school, and that there was always somebody's parents or a company would step up so that everybody could play. Kind of like what Gerry did with CJAY, carried the torch. If I phone Gerry and say, Gerry, you know, we need some help because a couple of kids, maybe in some of our lower socioeconomic areas, can't. They're all-stars, but they can't afford to go to the you know, select trip. Well, the league would chip in, and then Gerry would get on the horn and say, Tone, let's do a little thing. And next thing you know, those kids could do that, and that's the kind of guy he was.
You know who's still doing it too is WestJet.
Yeah.
We have friends at WestJet. And since I started it, since WestJet came around, I was on the first flight, got to know all the WestJet guys. And to this day, I'm no longer with the radio station, but to this day, they supply flights for you know, when somebody's going through a tough time. They supply flights for prizes where we can raise money to help the community.
Yeah, they do that all the time. Yeah, for
although
teams and stuff.
It's a big company now, but they still have the heart of Calgary in mind.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time.
No, thank you very much for reaching out.
Roulette with us.
You've blown me away, man. This is amazing. You know, I'm really touched. Thank you for the effort you put in.
I can verify he's a little touched.
Yeah, a little bit. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eddy.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Bello. Thank you.